Welcome to True Crime Unfold. In this gripping episode, we unveil the grisly murder of Tina Boland, a 42-year-old housewife from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, who was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Witness how hidden affairs and jealousy led to a tragic end, and explore the emotional aftermath for Tina's family and community. Don't miss this intense true crime case that delves into personal betrayals and their fatal consequences. Tina Boland was a 42-year-old homemaker living in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. She was well known in her community as a friendly, outgoing woman, always willing to lend a helping hand. Tina was the kind of neighbor who remembered birthdays, organized neighborhood parties, and never missed an opportunity to volunteer at her children's school events. She lived with her husband, Michael Boland, a 46-year-old insurance agent, and their two teenage children, ages 16 and 15. In April 2014, Tina was at the height of her involvement in the neighborhood, often seen driving her children to their activities in her blue Honda Odyssey, stopping at the local Starbucks for a caramel macchiato along the way. She was also active in her church, helping coordinate charity drives and bake sales. But there was another side to Tina's life, one that few knew about. Behind her outward appearance as a devoted wife and mother, Tina was involved in a series of secret sexual relationships with other women in her community. These relationships were hidden from her family and most of her other friends. Tina enjoyed the thrill of these relationships, which gave her a sense of excitement and freedom she did not find in her suburban life. In the days before her death, Tina was particularly excited about her new relationship with Hope Johnson, a 45-year-old woman who had recently moved into the neighborhood. Her friends noticed that she seemed happier than usual, but they had no idea of the secret life she led. This hidden world, full of desire and jealousy, would soon lead to a tragedy that would shock the entire community. On the morning of April 15, 2014, at approximately 8:30 a.m., the lifeless body of Tina Boland was discovered at the foot of the stairs of her home in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. It was a typical spring morning, with the sun shining and the sound of birds singing in the trees outside. The discovery was made by Lisa DeAngelis, Tina's close friend and neighbor, who had gone to her house after receiving no response to her messages and calls the night before. Lisa and Tina had a strong bond, often meeting at the local Panera Bread for coffee and to catch up on the latest gossip. That morning, when Lisa arrived at Tina's house, she noticed that the front door was ajar. Concerned, she called Tina's name as she entered, but received no answer. As she walked through the house, her heart began to race. The house was eerily quiet, with the faint sound of the television in the background. When Lisa reached the staircase, she was confronted with a scene that would haunt her forever. Tina was lying at the foot of the stairs, her body twisted in an unnatural position. She was wearing a light blue nightgown, and her hair was bloody from a cut on her lip. Lisa froze in shock, her mind trying to comprehend what she was seeing. After a few moments, Lisa snapped out of her daze and frantically dialed 911, her voice trembling as she explained what she had found. Emergency services arrived shortly after, but despite their efforts, it became clear that Tina was already dead. The tragedy of Tina Boland's death had only just begun to unfold, leaving a community in shock and searching for answers. The Rio Rancho Police Department quickly arrived at Tina Boland's home around 8:45 a.m., just minutes after Lisa DeAngelis called 911. The first officers on the scene were Detective Martina Lopez, a seasoned investigator known for her keen instincts, and Officer James Carson, a junior patrolman with 2 years on the force. Upon entering the house, they were met with the disturbing sight of Tina's body at the foot of the stairs. Detective Lopez immediately took command, instructing Officer Carson to secure the scene and make sure no one else entered the house. The stairway where Tina was found was carpeted, with beige walls showing no signs of a struggle. Tina's body lay in a twisted position, her head turned oddly to one side, and a small pool of blood had formed under her head. However, the scene was relatively clean, with no obvious signs of a violent disturbance. The detective carefully examined the area around Tina's body. She noticed that Tina was barefoot, and that there was nothing visible that could have caused her to trip. As the investigation proceeded, Detective Lopez ordered a thorough forensic sweep of the house, determined to ensure that every possible piece of evidence was collected. The team used luminol to search for any hidden traces of blood, and fingerprint powder was applied to the stair railings and nearby surfaces. However, Lopez couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the situation than met the eye. The absence of defensive wounds, the strange position of the body, and the eerie stillness of the house all pointed to something more sinister. As the investigation unfolded, the police focused on three primary individuals connected to Tina Boland's life: Lisa DeAngelis, Hope Johnson, and Michael Boland. Each person had their own relationship with Tina, and as detectives delved deeper, a complicated web of emotions, jealousy, and betrayal began to emerge. Lisa DeAngelis, Tina's close friend and former lover, became the first suspect in the police's eyes. Their relationship had been intense and passionate, filled with moments of joy, but it had also taken a tumultuous turn. After Tina started dating Hope Johnson, Lisa's demeanor shifted dramatically. Friends noted her increasing distress and agitation over the situation, revealing that Lisa felt betrayed and abandoned. She had hoped to rekindle her romance with Tina, but instead, she found herself watching the woman she loved slip away into a new relationship. Detectives interviewed Lisa, who appeared genuinely distraught over Tina's death. However, her emotional responses sparked suspicion. During questioning, Lisa recounted her last interactions with Tina, painting a picture of a loving friendship marred by tension and jealousy. She described a heated argument they had had just days before the tragedy, in which Lisa accused Tina of being unfaithful. This confrontation became a focal point for detectives, raising questions about whether Lisa's love had transformed into something darker. Could jealousy have driven her to commit murder? Hope Johnson, Tina's new partner, soon entered the frame as another key suspect. Though she presented herself as a distraught lover, her alibi for the night of the murder, claiming she was at home with her husband, was viewed skeptically by detectives. The couple had only recently become involved, and their relationship seemed to be marked by a rapid escalation of passion and tension. Witnesses reported that Hope had expressed feelings of being overwhelmed by Tina's affections and even shared fears of losing her. As the investigation progressed, detectives discovered a series of text messages exchanged between Tina and Hope leading up to the murder. Some of these messages hinted at a growing strain in their relationship, suggesting that arguments and misunderstandings were becoming commonplace. This raised suspicions regarding Hope's role in Tina's death. The detectives began to wonder if the intensity of the relationship could have sparked a violent altercation, leading to a fatal confrontation. Lastly, the police turned their attention to Michael Boland, Tina's husband. He presented himself as a grieving spouse, struggling to come to terms with the loss of his wife. However, his detachment during questioning made detectives wary. Michael had a solid alibi, but his emotional state, marked by an almost clinical indifference, raised red flags. Investigators dug deeper into Michael's background and financial situation, searching for potential motives tied to Tina's romantic relationships. They considered the possibility that he could have felt threatened by her infidelity, or that financial gain could have played a role in her death. As the police conducted interviews and collected evidence, they realized that the truth was shrouded in a complex emotional landscape. Each suspect had a distinct connection to Tina, filled with love, jealousy, and betrayal. The investigation was becoming increasingly intricate as detectives sought to untangle the relationships and motives that could lead to the truth behind Tina's tragic death. Just days after Tina's body was discovered, the investigation took a significant turn. On April 18, 2014, forensic evidence emerged that would prove to be a game changer. Detective Lopez received a report from the forensic team indicating that they had found a scuff mark on the wall adjacent to the staircase where Tina's body lay. This detail suggested that Tina had not simply fallen but might have been pushed, leading investigators to question the nature of her death even more profoundly. The forensic team worked diligently, examining the scuff mark closely. It was consistent with the sole of a shoe, and they realized it could be a crucial piece of evidence pointing to foul play. As detectives scrutinized the details surrounding the crime scene, they felt the urgency to find answers. Was this mark a result of an accident, or had someone intentionally harmed Tina? Simultaneously, forensic experts analyzed skin cells found beneath Tina's nails. The idea that Tina had fought back against her attacker began to take shape. After several tense days of waiting for the lab results, Detective Lopez received the news that would shift the case's trajectory. The DNA collected from under Tina's nails matched that of Lisa DeAngelis. This revelation sent shockwaves through the investigative team. The implication that Tina had fought against her attacker and that the attacker was someone she knew personally was harrowing. Detectives began to theorize that the confrontation between Tina and Lisa escalated beyond an emotional dispute into a violent encounter. The more they explored Lisa's history with Tina, the more they began to believe that jealousy and betrayal had ignited a deadly spark. Armed with this new evidence, Detective Lopez felt a renewed sense of purpose. She organized a meeting with her team to strategize how to approach the next steps in the investigation. The atmosphere was charged with the urgency to bring clarity to Tina's tragic fate. They needed to confront Lisa DeAngelis, not just as a grieving friend, but as a suspect in a murder investigation. With the breakthrough in evidence, police moved quickly to arrest Lisa DeAngelis on April 20th, 2014. Early that morning, officers arrived at Lisa's home, executing the arrest warrant with precision. Lisa was completely taken aback by the sudden appearance of law enforcement. Her expression shifted from confusion to disbelief as she learned the reason for her arrest, charged with the murder of her former lover, Tina Boland. As she was taken into custody, Lisa displayed a mix of shock and fear. Initially, she protested her innocence, claiming that she could never harm Tina. Yet, as the officers processed her, her emotional facade began to crack, revealing a depth of turmoil that hinted at the underlying jealousy and rage that had reportedly festered between the two women. The news of Lisa's arrest quickly spread through Rio Rancho, leaving the community grappling with the shocking revelation that someone they once considered a friend and neighbor could be implicated in such a brutal crime. The arrest was met with mixed reactions. Many friends and community members who knew Tina expressed disbelief, unable to reconcile Lisa's image as a supportive friend with the chilling reality of her arrest. For Tina's family, the anguish deepened, knowing that someone so close to Tina could have been involved in her death. As the investigation intensified, the community was left questioning how love could devolve into such profound betrayal. The trial of Lisa DeAngelis commenced on October 15th, 2014, at the Sandal County Courthouse. The courtroom was packed with members of the community, journalists, and family members on both sides, all eager to see justice served for Tina Boland. The prosecution presented a compelling case, rooted in the forensic evidence that had initially brought Lisa to their attention. They detailed the discovery of DNA under Tina's nails, suggesting that there had been a struggle. Witnesses testified about the deteriorating relationship between Tina and Lisa, highlighting the jealousy that had brewed as Lisa became increasingly aware of Tina's relationship with Hope Johnson. The prosecution painted Lisa as a woman whose love had turned toxic, leading her to act out in a moment of rage. As the prosecution laid out their case, they focused on the argument between Lisa and Tina just days before the murder. They argued that this confrontation was a boiling point that escalated into violence. Emotional testimonies from friends and family revealed pain that Tina had been experiencing as she navigated her complicated relationships, painting a picture of a vibrant woman whose life had been cut tragically short. Lisa's defense team, on the other hand, attempted to humanize her and present her as a deeply hurt individual caught in a tumultuous love affair. They argued that Lisa had not intended to kill Tina, asserting that the incident could have been an accident during a heated confrontation. They challenged the prosecution's narrative by suggesting that Tina's death could have resulted from a fall rather than intentional harm. The defense tried to convince the jury that the love between Lisa and Tina, while complicated, was genuine. The trial was filled with emotional highs and lows as the courtroom absorbed the testimonies, the evidence, and the sheer tragedy of Tina's death. The atmosphere was tense as witnesses recounted their memories, often breaking down in tears as they described their loss. Friends who had once celebrated Tina's vibrant spirit now struggled to articulate the horror of what had happened. After several days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict on November 3rd, 2014. Lisa DeAngelis was found guilty of second-degree murder. The decision reverberated throughout the courtroom, eliciting tears from Tina's family and friends who had long awaited justice. The jury's verdict was a bittersweet conclusion to a heartbreaking saga, underscoring the reality that no legal outcome could restore the life that had been lost. Lisa was subsequently sentenced to 20 years in prison, a decision that left many in the community divided. Some felt the sentence was too lenient given the circumstances of the crime, while others saw it as a necessary step toward healing. The trial had exposed the depths of love and betrayal, and while justice had been served, the emotional scars would remain long after the gavel fell. In the aftermath of the trial and Lisa DeAngelis' conviction, the community of Rio Rancho grappled with the loss of Tina Boland and the impact of her tragic death. The emotional toll was palpable as friends and neighbors sought to process the events that had unfolded in their once peaceful town. Tina's murder served as a wake-up call for many, prompting discussions about love, jealousy, and the complexities of relationships. Local organizations organized vigils and gatherings to honor Tina's memory, providing spaces for healing and reflection. Candles were lit and stories were shared, ensuring that Tina's vibrant spirit would not be forgotten. The community rallied together, united in their desire to remember Tina, not just as a victim, but as a beloved daughter, friend, and partner. Michael Boland emerged from the tragedy as a committed advocate for victims of domestic violence. Struggling with his own grief, he dedicated himself to supporting families who had faced similar losses. He became a powerful voice in the community, sharing Tina's story and emphasizing the importance of open communication in relationships. Through his work, he aimed to ensure that others did not have to endure the heartbreak he faced. As the years passed, Tina Boland's legacy continued to inspire conversations about love, betrayal, and the consequences of emotional turmoil. The community established scholarships and support networks in her name, focusing on mental health resources and education about healthy relationships. Schools began to incorporate discussions on emotional intelligence and the dangers of jealousy into their curricula, aiming to equip young people with the tools to navigate complex feelings. Tina's tragic story served as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of understanding one another's emotions. Her life became a symbol of resilience, sparking dialogues about love and loss in a way that connected deeply with the community. The legacy of Tina Boland endured, illuminating the need for empathy and understanding in an often tumultuous world. The conclusion of Tina Boland's tragic story encapsulates the emotional turmoil and societal implications of her life and untimely death. At its core, Tina's story is a stark reminder of how quickly love can morph into something darker and more destructive. It sheds light on the complexities inherent in human relationships, where passion, jealousy, and betrayal can intertwine in profound ways, often leading to devastating outcomes. Tina Boland was not just a victim. She was a vibrant individual whose life was filled with love, laughter, and aspirations. Her relationships with Lisa DeAngelis and Hope Johnson illustrated the rich tapestry of human connection, showcasing the beauty and the challenges that can arise within intimate partnerships. Her untimely death prompted an urgent examination of these dynamics, forcing friends, family, and the broader community to confront the sometimes hidden struggles within relationships. The emotions that fueled the tragedy, jealousy, insecurity, and the need for connection, are universal. Tina's story highlighted the importance of addressing these feelings openly and honestly. For many, the devastating consequences of her death serve as a wake-up call, emphasizing the critical need for healthy communication and conflict resolution in all relationships. It became clear that misunderstandings and emotional wounds, if left unaddressed, could escalate to dangerous levels. Furthermore, the aftermath of Tina's murder sparked vital conversations within the community about the signs of emotional distress and the complexities of romantic relationships. Friends, neighbors, and advocacy groups began to engage in discussions about the importance of mental health and emotional literacy. The community recognized that understanding one's emotions and those of others is essential to fostering healthy, loving relationships. Local organizations stepped in to promote education on these topics, striving to equip individuals with the skills to navigate their emotions constructively. Michael Boland's transformation into an advocate for victims of domestic violence showcased the resilience of the human spirit. In the face of unbearable grief, he became a powerful voice for change, using his pain to help others. His efforts served as a testament to Tina's lasting impact, demonstrating that even in loss, there can be hope and healing. Through scholarships, support networks, and public speaking engagements, he aimed to ensure that Tina's story would not be forgotten and that her legacy would inspire others to seek healthier relationships. The establishment of community initiatives in Tina's name created a tangible legacy, encouraging individuals to reflect on their own relationships and the societal norms surrounding love and conflict. Schools began integrating discussions about emotional intelligence and healthy relationship dynamics into their curricula, fostering a new generation that values empathy and understanding. Tina's story became a catalyst for positive change, prompting people to recognize the importance of mental health and the need to break the silence surrounding emotional struggles. Ultimately, Tina Boland's legacy is one of awareness and compassion. Her life, though tragically cut short, serves as a reminder of the fragility of love and the necessity of nurturing healthy connections. It invites us to engage in meaningful conversations about the complexities of relationships, encouraging a culture of openness and vulnerability. In reflecting on Tina's life, we are reminded of our shared humanity and the profound impact of our relationships. Her story urges us to approach love with care and understanding, recognizing that behind every relationship lie emotions that deserve acknowledgement and support. Through this tragedy, we are called to foster a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other, embracing the beauty of connection while remaining vigilant against the darker impulses that can arise in moments of emotional turmoil. In conclusion, the legacy of Tina Boland transcends her tragic death. It is a testament to the enduring power of love, the necessity of understanding, and the resilience of the human spirit. Her story continues to inspire individuals to cultivate empathy, communicate openly, and strive for healthier relationships, ensuring that her memory lives on as a beacon of hope and a call to action for all.